that changes who you scrim, who you play with, what your stage practice looks like, and what the fans say about you. You know, for the rest of the year, oh, it's just a Rise team. Nobody wants to be in that group. Nobody wants to be in that spot. Dplus.
Oh, you went 5-0 over the last 3 weeks? We don't care.
It was Rise group.
It was Rise group.
You went 0-5 over the last few games? Oh, it's okay. It was the Legend group. It's Gen G. It's Hanwha.
Exactly. Especially with the fact that the bottom 2 teams coming out of the Rise group are just eliminated. It's just their year is done. Whereas Legend Group, no, you're just in the play-ins if you're the last team.
Exactly.
You skip the play-ins if you're not.
So many reasons why this matters so much for Dplus after they had their worst losing streak in franchise history. You know, to be in 6th place, to not be amongst Legends. They were part of the big 3, the only 3 teams of the LCK to ever win a world championship. And now they are on the brink of being knocked down to Rise, but all they need to do is win this second game, the second game in best of 3s that has plagued them throughout so many across this first half of our season here. See if they can get it done this time, but Nongshim RedForce do have blue side. They'll ban away the Scion, they'll take away the Pantheon here as well.
Yeah.
Red side ban's a little bit more difficult.
Don't need to ban Kalista anymore, though. They have managed to get that one out of the way. As really, the really cool thing is the fact that we get the best of 5 draft music as well.
Yeah.
I think it really does add. We don't get that incredibly dramatic thing at the very beginning, which is, that sort of fits, but then the rest of it, not really the same thing. But we are going to now have a look at the Gwen being banned. The Alistar in the first round is kind of crazy.
One pick that I have my eye on here is Calix's Yone. Gideon loves to play Sejuani. Now, it's not really a pick that, you know, if you first pick the Yone here...
Hoppy, the Azir is up.
Azir is also up, as you mentioned, and the Talia is gone. Like, those are the picks I think about here most. The Azir and the Yone, that you could be one. As Nongshim RedForce, stylistically, Showmaker just had an amazing performance on Yone very recently as well.
100% win rate, by the way.
100% win rate.
100% win rate here in the LCK. That's not a 1 sample size, by the way, guys. So 100% win rate. Probably going to lock it in here.
So, as you say, they could now flip and do that into this Azir pick. Opinions are very controversial and very mixed on Lucid's Sejuani, but looking for a potential Yorick pick here for Xiu in the top lane blind.
It could just be, you could just lock Yorick Sejuani here, and that could be setting up for a potential of the Yone, but instead the Ahri's being hovered and will be locked in.
Question is, what do you play with this Ahri? With the Pantheon gone, Xin Zhao Fearless banned.
Yeah, Wukong as well, Fearless banned.
Wukong also gone. So, I mean, Viego? I don't think so. As Yorick will get locked away here, so going to keep that a bit of a mystery here. Which Dplus is known for holding jungle picks until later across their entire team's history.
Yeah, exactly. Going from Canyon to Lucid does allow you to do that quite a lot.
Yeah.
As both of them with pretty extensive champion pools. Sejuani Jace could be just real scary.
It's really strong, and I think that when you lock the Yorick in here, you are kind of playing into Gideon's hands. He loves to play Sejuani. It's one of his best picks.
We have seen Yorick do okay into it.
Yeah, this is not what I expected to see as the jungle pick here because, you know, it's not the Aurora draft, it's not the Orianna draft, it's just an Ahri. As Trundle,
Trundle
was face up, so I don't know why we didn't just instantly assume that was going to be the case. I'm still adjusting to Trundle being meta and relevant.
Yeah.
I'm not fully on board with it yet, but like,
and oftentimes we see the Trundle as a response to like some of these more AD-based, like Xin Zhao, things like that, because he can strip away AD. Subjugate value comes secondary and is often aimed against tanks picked for the top lane. This just does everything. Like, you win the jungle matchup, and then you get to use the Sejuani to make yourself really strong.
With the Leona ban, are they fishing for something like a, or sorry, with the Elise ban, are they fishing for something like a Leona angle here with the Ezreal? Not a ton of engaged left. Braum is gone, Alistar is gone. Those aren't necessarily the best engaged supports, obviously, but those supports are gone. Shen is also gone.
Just ban the Lehens champs.
Yeah, ban the Lehens champs. So I kind of felt like they were edging for something like that, but instead with the double Lehens ban, I think they're just trying to shut Lehens out of playing something he's really comfortable on here in this bottom lane regardless.
Wonder what it's going to be next here is... I think Ezreal or Jhin for aiming is probably what he's looking for here.
Yeah, you could ban like Rakan, but relatively risky Rakan draft here. We'll take away the Varus.
Yep, that works.
That's a smart choice. This is going to tell us a lot about what the next 2 picks are going to be, because if you lock in an AD carry, they're going to have the answer for that. If you lock in the support, they can look to try to draft a duo that crushes it, just like we saw from Aiming and Barrel in Game 1 with the Kalista setup.
Yeah, just lock Ezreal. Like, that's all they need to do. And then you keep things open instead with no Poppy and no Talia. It's pretty strong. Okay, the Rakan going to come in. Do they deny the Xayah? That's the question.
What if Gio and Lens just play Ezreal Leona, though, into the Rakan? I think that works out pretty well with their draft. It's pretty safe into the Ahri. And, you know, regardless of what aiming gets put on here, it's not going to be something that necessarily crushes Ezreal. If he ends up going to Kai'Sa, I do think it'll suit their draft, and it works well into the Ezreal in isolation, but there's a lot of scaling damage here for Nongshim RedForce if they do go that way. We'll pivot, though, with the Alistar ban, and with the already locking up the Rakan, of course, Misfortune Rel.
That is a tough one to play. Pillar is just so good into Misfortune.
Yeah.
She ever starts to try and bullet time you, you just find the end of that cone and you put up another cone, theoretically, if you are playing the appropriate skin, but it could be a Pillar of Filth.
It just ends up being a triple threat comp here where one of them is kind of ult-based in its entirety, but Rel seems like the obvious answer, but he's going
Morgana! Okay, you can't Pillar that. That doesn't break the shield. All right, Lehens, he is cooking once again.
Well, that also gives you a ton of lane prio. You know, most AD carries can't go toe-to-toe with the MF anyways, but playing Jhin into this is also a little bit scary.
I do want to say, it's going to be hard to get a whole bunch of value out of this Morgana.
Yeah, you can block charms of multiple types, yeah. But I suppose that's really it. The Kai'Sa here would have been strong into the Ezreal that I would have recommended. I thought we were going to see that Ezreal Leona setup here for Nongshim, but it also is great with Ahri, great with Rakan, amazing mastery of the champion is what Aiming has. He's very famed for his Kai'Sa. Even back when Kai'Sa was being played AP, he had so many good games of it back in that era as well. I think the draft here is really strong for Nongshim in terms of the early prio, though. They have the Azir into the Ahri, which, you know, can go both ways, but you have Jason to Yorick, which, if played really well, I think the Jace does edge out a little bit. And then on the bottom side of the map, the fact that Morgana can really help push those waves in, and you have an MF there into the Kai'Sa, means that's kind of a guaranteed W. So how well they use their prio here, I think, is going to be what this early game looks like. We saw what Dplus were able to do with their mid and bottom lane control. Take all the dragons, all 4 of them, take the blue buff away twice. And Nongshim is going to have, I think, some similar power here on this Rift if they're going to bring us to 3 and keep KT's chances of Legend Group alive.
That was so cute. I love the crossed out 0 and just like 2-1. 2-1, guys. Come on, please. That could be the case if this composition is going to work. Like you mentioned, like we've seen this many, many times before. The good old Jace, Sejuani, Azir towards that top side. But this bottom lane is definitely a bit of a mix-up. You can imagine Black Shield going to be getting a lot of value, but Soul Shackle's not necessarily as much, because I don't think the DK are going to be stacking up. See how it goes. We hop into the Rift for the deciding, potentially, game number 2. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the Rift for game number 2. DK up 1-0 in the series, but now on the red side, they have put themselves together a pretty good comp, though, as Lucid can actually put down trophies with this particular skin. Yeah. It's not my favorite, but it's still a decent one.
Is not going to face check yet this time around at level 1, as Dplus are once again trying to apply this pressure. I feel like Morgana is not in a great spot right now. We've talked about this a lot, and I basically used to be a Morgana one-trick, so I'm very sad about it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't play her anymore because she's not in a good spot, but the removal of perfectly timed stopwatch really just hurts her so much. Like, that was a huge part of Morgana, is you get the stopwatch, you have your ultimate, you can warp a team fight early. She just can't really do that anymore. And there's been a lot of changes to her. She was jungle for a second, which was really funny, but
yeah.
Peanut will tell you that it was very viable. Peanut's ready to play her tomorrow. If,
I mean, he was playing Lulu jungle as well. I don't know whether that is necessarily
That's
like
true.
Peanut played it doesn't mean it's a jungler,
No.
okay?
So Gideon is going to be able to match the vertical jungling here, and we'll see how this impacts the game, but see what Lehens can get done with this Morgana pick early. If he hits a binding, then you're like, wow, that's not supposed to happen, but good job. And, you know, then you can actually really crush this lane. But even if he doesn't, and he just keeps pooling these minions and helps push the wave in, then you'll always have Cryo here. But not at level 1, which is why I think this is a great play by Lucid to come down here and set up the vertical jungling early before the Morgana can really impact those types of plays.
Kind of crazy that Gio is 3-0 on this Misfortune. I feel like we've got the two most successful Misfortune players so far this season here in this game, especially given the fact that they haven't been winning all of their games. I was just thinking that perhaps Ruler's got a better win rate, but he's only lost like twice.
Yeah, I mean, Ruler's
it's kind of unfair.
MF games haven't been the best. Like, he's had some bad ones and some good ones, you know?
Yeah. And always, they're basically all wins. So it's hard to know based on the result as to whether or not we'd put him in that category. So I'm just going to refrain from including him in that one, as Gio just going to walk up, puts Kingen into the Ghoulie wall, and Kingen does nothing about it. He's now just hitting these kitty cats. It's really brutal. It is really brutal.
Yeah.
And you'd think that if it wasn't this skin, it wouldn't look as brutal, but it still looks just as brutal, as we saw from the LCK lols. Okay, Barrel's making his way over. Grand Entrance gets the flash.
All right.
That's pretty good value as Showmaker comes on over, gets a cheeky little heal, and Barrel says, all right, I'll back to the bottom lane.
She was in the list of loss streak, by the way, on this champion, as is Doran. It's on a 6-game losing streak, which is quite a list, because this pick was really starting to pick up steam for a while. Players like Morgan showcasing what it is fully capable of, but early on in this lane, even with the Ghoulie walls connecting, Kingen just doesn't care at all. And in fact, we will see the swap to come through. Kingen waits, and actually we'll see this. As, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I wonder whether it happened in LCK Cup. We got a little bit caught out on that one, as Chovy had played Set in the LCK Cup. We didn't get the stat, so it said it was like 4 million years ago that we last saw it, when really it was this year. But I don't think it was played in LCK Cup.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not going to get jump scared by that one again. As Chew. Oh no, the zoom in. Jonas Strong, don't do it. Oh. It's dark and full of terrors in that jungle. Do not go in. Do not go in! Do not go in! Dark Binding going to connect. And the Ghoulie wall is going to at least save his life. Does have to flash, though. And that is the main thing that got him out of dodge.
Yeah, I don't think he was really under kill threat there, but if he does not flash, then, of course, he might be. But I think he kind of is just like, well, you know, we've got the 2v1 on the top side, and I'm going to chill here. I want to see who's around. I want to make sure I know where Gideon is. That allows him to verify that Gideon is, in fact, on the bottom side of the map. And now he is going to be playing what it was like to play top lane just a few months ago.
Well, there's the Grand Entrance. Still going to connect there, as now Kingen in a bit of trouble. No Killer Instinct available here for aiming, though, as Gio just going to collect a plate and look to back away. Gio just happily farming underneath this turret, probably okay with giving away a plate as long as he can pick up the wave. And he does do so, continues to shovel these minions, and it's working out. Having a bit of a check-in here towards the mid lane as Showmaker looking a little worse for wear. The electrocute comes down, and another one through from Barrel, the charm point blank, but Calyx just going to walk it off, and he will be okay.
Yeah, he's going to be fine here. We'll pick up most of these minions. Missed the last one, of course, but still good reaction there. Good dodge attempt. He was trying to do some fancy footwork there to get out of there, but Showmaker doesn't miss those. Barrel's there for the follow-up gank, knowing he didn't have flash from the previous one. And now we're back in this bottom lane, but Kingen missed a lot. He is down significantly here in level, whereas Shiu, even though he lost his flash, was actually able to hit level 6. Yeah, this is a massive advantage. And I was going to say, I feel like with the lane setup that was there, I'd much prefer to be Dplus, because, you know, the Jace falling behind really hurts what he could do, especially in team fights, whereas Shiu falling a little bit behind, by the way, he wasn't really losing that much. But even the fact that he's 1v2ing is kind of okay with Yorick, because, you know, he's not going to be pushing side lanes in right now. That's going to be what happens later on, and he'll still be able to do that pretty relevantly as long as he doesn't fall too far behind, and he's staying even in the exchange. That experience lead feeling great for him.
Yeah, the Ghoulie wall is just very, very good at counter dive as well, which is fantastic. Barrel moving on over towards Kingen here. Does take a shock blast for his trouble, as aiming, trying to deny this cannon. And these pesky minions. Oh dear, there's another Grand Entrance from Barrel as Kingen taking a bit of damage, but aiming unable to follow up, and there it goes. Successful denial here by DK. Staying frustrating. Did cost them a bit of health bar, but they got what they came for.
Lucid is here. Kingen still has his flash. Needs to thin this wave out. A lot of it's super low.
Well, let's see what Kingen can get done here as the knockup does come on through, and that should spell the end. That is first blood going over to the Gold King himself.
And I mean, Dplus here, you know that this Jace is vulnerable. This Jace is not the same as this Yorick that is going to have a lot more defensibility with his Ghoulie wall. And you go for the dive there. It's a really nice knockup from Barrel, and that's that. And unfortunately, this Jace is falling further and further behind, even though it's not into the Yorick directly with this lane swap. A lead that Geo has generated is... It's not nothing, but I feel like the Jace being this far behind and being pushed out of the lane here, losing experience, losing tier stacks, these are things that are really starting to stack up here. Yeah. Whereas a Kai'Sa that's down 100 gold, that has a Cull in her inventory, is probably just feeling fine.
And speaking of feeling fine, I mean, there is the fact that the gold is completely tied up. But the fact that DK managed to get the first dragon and the grubs haven't even spawned just yet, that's going to be 14 seconds time. That might be a way for Nongshim to either deny or also get a little bit of a fight happening that is going to work out their way. Lehen's still looking for those soul shackles as Glacial Prison immediately cleansed there by aiming. Still high value from Gideon to be able to get that summoner spell, but not going to be able to get any kills just yet. Just have to settle for the plate and the summoner.
Now Lucid has ult, and they don't have the ultimate to deny him, so maybe that attempted play for cleanse actually just means they can only get one grub here. Calyx does show up first, though, and Showmaker's not anywhere near. See how this does eventuate, because Gideon does have Smite.
Yeah, Barrel coming on over. No quickness. He's level 4. Lehen's is level 6. This is actually a huge deal as the Charm is going to connect. Second grub does go down as Lucid gets into the pit. Let's see whether he can keep himself alive as Showmaker gets in there. Orbit Deception is decent. As DK, they just do a little bit of a wrap around. Lucid decides that he wants to just flash over the wall, and they give up all 3 of the grubs.
Yeah, Lehen's was shackling him, so he decided he needed to get out of there, otherwise would have been burst down. This is a bit awkward, though.
Yeah, Lucid walks up to them and then walks away.
So you mentioned that the pillar is not really denied by Black Shield in any way. It's not relevant there. But I do think playing Trundle, who has to run at you and close the gap, is kind of countered by getting bounded.
Well, I mean, also, if it's only Trundle that's there and there's a Black Shield on Gideon, then it does kind of deny, as the Subjugate not going to be quite as valuable.
Yeah, you can't use it during that moment, and that certainly could be a mistake that Lucid makes. I wouldn't count on that. But yeah, it can give you some extra space for sure.
Yep.
And Barrel may be able to stop it back here. Nope. But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that you can just bind the Trundle that's running at you gives you a lot of power. Speaking of power, Lehen's will not back, and so he's now awkwardly here alone.
Well, King
doesn't have any.
There is a whole lot of things fighting him here. It's a bit of a PvE battle against the Yorick as the game goes on. That's what he's going to have to deal with. Lehen's down to 50%.
If the Jace had been accelerated in the part of the matchup that's a little bit easier to play out, then I think King would be feeling way more comfortable than he is now, as that's going to miss, unfortunately, for Lehen's. But he does, I guess, annoy him. And
I think Dark Binding is one of the most difficult abilities to land.
It feels that way sometimes.
It's just that little bit too slow.
It's incredibly powerful, so I think it is.
Oh yeah, no, it makes sense, but I just have no ability to land it. It's always been my issue.
You know where it's easy to, as we're just trying to stop people from backing and kind of struggling, but where it's really easy to land on is a CC target, like for example, someone who's been caught by a Sejuani ultimate.
Ah, yes, I could see that being a good application.
Someone who's permafrosted potentially,
or someone who's been soul shackled and then stunned based on that.
Yeah.
That one we've seen before.
So I think that might be part of it. But if you do hit that Trundle that's running at you, and then the Trundle can't get to where he needs to be, the Trundle doesn't do anything. So, when I play Morgana, when most people, were playing Morgana jungle, you always think about the fact that, yeah, you can't really win the extended fight against the jungler, but you can just hold him in place and leave.
Yep.
And sometimes when you have your team with you, you hold him in place and he dies.
Yeah, or force him to fight you on a puddle, which does work out as well. But not for this particular Morgana. The Tormented Soil, or it's not Tormented Soil anymore, it's some other sort of soil.
I don't even remember
Tormented something. Because that got changed. It used to be Tormented Soil, but not anymore.
Yeah,
what is it? Tormented Shadow?
I just call it
Let me check.
I just call it
It's Tormented Shadow.
Yeah.
That's a bit silly. I don't like that.
She has a black shield, this black pool. Shu just doesn't care.
Yeah, it's bullet time, but he just calls his cat over, and he's going to be okay. As Showmaker, can you find the charm? That is the question.
They're utilizing this prio pretty well here. The dragon has spawned, and they're trying to look for a pick here as Dplus are scrambling to set up for it. As this Yorick does have teleport, wants to back here and buy. Yeah. And yep, there's the rain.
Very annoying. So giving away this dragon, not going to be end of the world for DK. Probably do want to put Nongshim on the clock just a little bit, but they don't have to fight. As Yuntal does come in for aiming. Item number 1 is going to be put together. Double cleanse flash here from both of the bottom laners. The unsealed spellbook going to be helping out Beryl.
It's a lot of power from this little play here from Nongshim because they force Shu to back, but they delay it a few times. He TP's top to catch the wave, but this also means aiming has to come over and catch this wave a little bit late. Lost a few minions, but they just don't have any control here. And now Dplus can look for vision on the top side.
God.
Oh, Giga Big Drake.
Yep.
And it's kind of insane for both compositions. I mean, it's insane for pretty much any composition in League of Legends, but
yeah, this is no exception. Let's just say that.
I do feel like when you have Kai'Sa on your team, you feel really good about that, but even the poke from Jace can end up chaining into something later on. You know, even the Morgana just dropping down the pool, and boom, you get puddled, you get slowed, somebody else follows up, get Emperor's Divided, or you slow somebody and hit that binding you were talking about. Difficult to hit.
Yeah. So far, I think that DK probably very happy about what's going on in this game.
Yeah, they're in a great spot.
That Drake as aiming, just trying to excavate some plates here from the bottom lane, wanting to get another one as Lehens walks over vision. And the pool going to pop down. This control ward should be cleared out, but it does mean that that plate is guaranteed to go down. So only 2 remaining there on the bottom side as we have about 25 seconds until they all fall.
Does the binding hit? Aiming has cleanse, Beryl has cleanse, so I don't know if it matters.
Oh, through the wall, and Beryl is just going to eat it. And
he doesn't even cleanse it, he doesn't care.
Oh no, the Ghoulie Wall! Calyx, he just has to sweep him out of there.
That's a pretty good trade for the Yorick.
I think you'd probably take that. Feels a little bit like when Vigo was really meta, you know, and you put down the Event Horizon and you trade that for an ultimate.
Yeah.
Although, you know, Event Horizon kind of was just an ultimate. Let's be real.
Well, Calyx does end up trading back a little bit of damage with it, but it's not feeling good about the fact that now he is very gankable. And with Hex Gates, those things can come through faster than you realize. You're like, oh, I thought Lucio was on the bottom side of the map. He backed and then Hex gated over, and now you're in danger. So that's, we talk about how Cloud Soul can get you around the map faster with that Rift and with the speed boosts you can get from individual Drakes, but Hextech Soul is like the speedy rotation Rift. So
we'll be able to cheat some tempo in this game, that is for absolute sure. As first Trinity Force is going to be done, she is still looking for his on next back, and that is going to be a decent power spike here for DK. Probably waiting for that one before they go for the next fight, and the next one is going to be around this Rift Herald, most likely. Gideon already in position 4 seconds before spawn.
I really like this position here for Nongshim. I'd like it more though if Calyx had his ultimate. That's the one thing that they really don't have to use to beat it here.
Save you, Maiden!
Oh no.
Oh,
Stay here.
It's too late. Oh, Lucid! That was almost so incredibly heroic. Oh, wow.
But it was the right choice to let it die.
Yeah, it was the right choice. However, still just really, really nice. If the
Shirelli
to try and save her is okay. Then Lehens is flashing for this one as the Soul Shackles do go down. Teleport to come forward as DK just looking to stand their ground. Gee, in so much trouble, and this is Showmaker's domain. He's able to dash wherever he'd like, finds the charm, and everyone on Nongshim instantly on the floor. They'll augment that with Shelly.
Well, this game was looking incredibly close, but Dplus are going to pull massively ahead after this one. Kingen does pick up first turret, so that's a huge win for Nongshim here. So all they need is one more objective to get feats of strength, but
I want to see what happened there.
I mean, Lehens used his whole kit, and then he remembered why Morgana isn't
I was actually thinking exactly that during the play-by-play, and it kind of put me off my own job. Yeah. So I'm glad someone said it.
Because, like, okay, King gets another turret. This feels way less bad now. Actually feels kind of okay for Nongshim, but I don't know if we're going to get a replay of this or not, but, like, Lehens Shirelia's, then decides instead of trying to run away with it, he wants to make a play with it. Flashes in, drops heal, ults, and hits the binding and drops his pool, and then Dplus are like, yeah, okay.
And what?
Nice try. Another turret goes down as Dplus just kind of get the Herald and back away and lose 3 turrets. So starting to feel like this is actually a big W. So Shurelya's first, and Lehens is like, aha! Flash in. Beryl is able to get out of the shackles and look for the knock-up and deny the root. And then Lucid takes a bunch of damage and doesn't care because teleport comes through and aiming shows up. And then Lehens has just isolated himself.
Yeah, Lehens also used Black Shield on himself. And so Lucid just subjugated the Sejuani and said, I am impossible to kill. You can CC me if you like, and I don't care. He's also got Merc Treads done. So yeah, a little bit of an iffy scenario for Nongshim.
If you can't love Lehens at his Morgana, you can't have him at his Blitzcrank. You don't deserve him there.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a heroic attempt to use Morgana's kit, and it did not work, unfortunately. I mean, there was a teleport.
And it was also just not enough members of DK, and the problem is that as the game goes on, like, he's trying to do that into Rakan Ahri.
Yeah.
So you're never going to lock them down. If aiming as a target to ult to, you can't lock him down unless you land a Dark Binding first and then go for the combo. It's really only ever going to work onto Shiu and Lucid's going to be immortal. So, I don't know. And Shiu's also not going to be there. The good news doesn't really happen as Beryl, quickness comes down, and Shiu, the shield was there, but his life is now gone. Gideon is also just dead, and Lucid gets distracted by Calyx, dodges 2 ultimates, and eats the piggy. Shiu now looking to take down the pigeon here on the bottom side of the map, but there is a turret available. And DK are just winning everywhere now.
Yeah, Nongshim are doing the classic.
Oh, no, everything's missing!
Oh, God.
The flash charm is so beautiful. The shovel from Shiu finds the pigeon.
I mean, this is a classic lose the team fight and try to get a turret angle here for Nongshim. They are not able to get that mid turret, as King is still working towards that goal. But now Dplus pick up this very important, very relevant dragon and a 2,000 gold lead off of the kills as... You know, we often have the debate of dodge or miss.
Yeah.
I think we might have had one of each in that last play that was on Dragon. His Kingdom will trade his life and maybe a kill?
Well, no. I'm not sure whether Lucid's going to be going down here. Gideon going to show up. There's no subjugate this time around as aiming is fighting Lucid. Knockup is good. Charm is even better as Gideon turns it on to Beryl. Doesn't have Battle Dance. He's just dead. Sometimes Beryl just wants to die. And we don't necessarily know why. Rhyme unintentional.
Yeah, I mean, it's Beryl versus Lehens here, so...
yeah, it's about who can outdo the other one.
Yeah, the flanking Yorick is often the least scary, actually. But they're not going to see each other here. They did not...
That's why it's not in Zed's voice line.
No.
Not the deadliest, I don't think.
So this fight here, it's optimistic from Nongshim, of course. The Black Shield is not going to stop AD damage, so aiming doesn't care. And then this moment here, Gideon...
like, Lucid gets distracted by Calyx.
Yeah, the one was a miss and the other was a dodge. And Calyx is like in the pit and we don't really fully understand why. Scientists are trying to figure out what he thought was going to happen there as the fight was 100% lost the moment Giu died. And unfortunately his Emperor's Divide didn't hit, but I don't know if it would have really necessarily mattered. But it was a good flash from Lucid. Guarantees that he can pick up that one. As Nongshim do have control over the top side right now, and did pick up a ton of money from the turrets, which is what's keeping them somewhat even in gold.
It was just a random ghoul fighting the Raptors. It was so weird.
That was weird.
Nongshim are just not getting the attention that they want, as all of them are just wandering around the enemy jungle, and DK just aren't in the same area. They do now manage to get a control ward in this brush, and
there's
perhaps
just none of the jungles
will get caught out.
So, okay.
All right, there is the kitchen sink thrown at the Yorick, and he will get taken down. Takes them a little while to get him as Showmaker comes over, offers a bit of poke damage as well. They realize that they are in their jungle, but that means that aiming heads towards the top side, pushes out the wave, gets the turret. This inner is going to be in trouble, but the Otacon is going down.
I think they need to get more than this inner if they're going to make this trade work. Lehens just hanging out, being annoying.
I mean,
buying time for Gideon to come over, I guess?
Yeah, Voidseeker is going to connect onto Gideon, gives them the information that he is in the area. Showmaker turns up as well. It's going to be a 50-50 on this smite. Great news for Nongshim, because remember, they've already got that turret. Dark Binding collected here by Showmaker. He also gets tagged by the Shock Blast.
I mean, Nongshim have control over this Otacon now. I don't know if they should hold it. I think they should just leave. Look for King to go over here and get some more Shock Blast damage.
But the information is still there. The ward was already set up. Beryl still gets hit. Because of course he does. And now we're just going to be backing away.
Nongshim deny the Otacon. They get that inner turret and damage significantly the inhibitor turret in mid. And it's the turret trades that have been amazing here for Nongshim, as I don't know if they're going to stop these backs.
Yeah, all of the backs do come through. Chiu has respawned as well. His teleport going to be up very, very soon as King catches the wave. And now we're going to check this one out one more time.
This was a really interesting situation because Dplus are like, okay, I think they're hiding in jungle. At least I thought that's what they thought. Maybe Chiu didn't quite get the memo on that one, but they wrapped all the way around the top side, pushed that top crowd to look for the Otacon vision fight, and then Chiu unfortunately took the shortcut and was taken out. But then they go to Otacon, are stopped subsequently by a really cool play from Lehens. Mid turret goes down. And, you know, at the end of the day, all these turrets that Nongshim have taken have really kept them in this game. Like, I keep saying it, but it's kind of insane how many turrets they've been able to get without really any team fight wins, just trading objectives for turrets. That's going to be less and less valuable as we get closer to that Hextech soul, though. You're going to start to need to win some of those.
Yeah, the standing gold on the map is going to have to be one of those things that we'll need to talk about. But taking 2 inner turrets is really keeping them in it monetarily. As Lehens, Black Shields himself, Showmaker looking a little worse for wear as he backs his way out. Lucid just going to be able to get the smite onto the Raptor.
A lot more.
We're jostling, Wolf. We're jostling for position.
A lot more Heartsteel stacks than you normally get to see on a Sejuani in this one. Is starting to get a little bit beefy. Is Gideon right now. We do have 2 items for this Jace, and the Shock Blasts do hurt, as Lucid is going to look to run away.
Yeah, who would have thought that aiming has the most gold in the game, by the way?
Yeah, no, I mean...
It's crazy.
Hard to know, hard to guess, hard to predict.
Never would have thought. So, all right, Nongshim in position. There is a ward here that hasn't been swept out.
Lehens can kind of block the entry here of Lucid.
Yeah,
not if he misses.
Oh, it tags Lehens as well. There could be a delivery, as there's a subjugation. The prison goes down, and that is the secure of the Otacon, but immediately the jungler does go down. Showmaker goes in, but the Dark Binding was so good! Into the backline goes Beryl, though the quickness charms up 3. The Empress Divide does absolutely nothing, but Kingin does everything! And almost survives for so incredibly long. Nongshim going to win the fight and get the Otacon.
The first miss was really scary. Miss Lucid on that binding, and I was like, well, this is just going to be a 50-50, isn't it, Atlas? But the second hit is massive there for Lehens and helps his team win the fight despite Calix's shenanigans.
Yeah.
All right, so look, they win the fight here. It's in trade, though, as he barely gets charmed before the Black Shield comes back up. This binding on the Showmaker
binding, man,
might be game-winning as Beryl comes in here and looks to turn this Calix. I mean, aiming ulted.
You didn't need to do it to him.
Aiming ulted, so that was what happened there. Yeah, that's the reason.
Right.
So anyway, aiming ults and dies, and they win the fight, and now they're in control.
Yeah, and Lucid is not. He is relatively tanky, but doesn't have Subjugate, and as soon as he doesn't have Subjugate, things are problematic. And him respawning and then immediately dying, trying to look for a wolf camp that he has no control over, might even put them further behind.
I would like to see some dragon focus here for Nongshim, though. They killed the jungler. They're taking red buff, but there is a Hextech dragon available.
Yeah, there's also a Baron spawning in 2 seconds. There's 18 seconds left on Lucid.
All right, well, I mean, there's no jungler, and Dplus have to go through all this vision. They have no vision of the Baron, so this ends up being the correct call.
Yeah, this Baron is basically just gone. They get the information, but Beryl, nothing he can do about it as Showmaker. He's going to dash in. It's not going to happen as Beryl almost gets that smite off in time.
That was so scary, Atlas, for Nongshim. And for KT fans everywhere, as Beryl switches to smite there, the binding blocks him, but it wasn't timed well enough. But they still get the Baron. They can take that dragon I was asking for now as well.
Yeah, they're just going to look for a little bit of a reset here, utilizing this Baron, get themselves back, and they should be able to, with the vision, almost deny this soul point. It looks like they just don't really care about the dragon, as they do make the... Oh, of course, Hex Gates means that you're just always back there.
Yeah, you just get back instantly, and with the Baron control they have, they can play this several different ways. You can push out mid easily. You can send Calix down to that bottom wave and start pushing that out, and then just secure the dragon. It's going to take some of your Baron time away for sure. In fact, they're just going to look for a pick here and maybe try to end off of this Baron. This is kind of insane. Like, they just really don't want that dragon, Atlas.
Yeah, they just want a siege. And aiming.
I mean, if they get a pick, they could just potentially end the game.
Oh my god. Was that just a double up? I think it was. Okay, yeah, Gio's doing a bit of damage.
He is big at this point.
Yep. Trying to get some damage on this turret. Going to be successfully able to do so as well. As, all right, Showmaker finds the charm! He dashes in, Kingan's able to get himself out though, and Beryl just explodes! He disappears in the blink of an eye, now Calyx is rotating over! They've got another Dark Binding, that's going to connect onto Lucid, he goes down! And Nongshim, they're going to make DK work for it! They're looking to take this game right here, right now!
Oh man, Beryl feeling the pressure here. No longer able to just go straight to Legend. They're going to have to win the next game and beat KT in a potential tiebreaker.
And there he is, that's what he was looking for on the top side of the map, Wolf. Calyx finds the sweep, and the Nexus goes down. The Noodle Boys staying in the series, and if DK, even if they win the next game, we are guaranteed that tiebreaker.